It's it's spring, right? Kind of.
All right.
All right, now this I have to get to stand. All right, it's standing up now.
Perfecto. My guest today is Rick DellaRatta. He's visiting me in Springdale, which we're here in Zion National Park, one of the second most visited park in the United States.
Hey, thank you, Daniel. I'm excited to. It's a great excuse. What a great excuse to come down and see you in this like paradise that you live in.
From Utah, you've been skiing.
I was skiing. What happened, folks, is me and Daniel did a podcast from New York that just got released today. Talk about all these coincidences. The podcast got released this morning, right?
Yep.
From New York. So people are watching a podcast that we did in New York, and we did this podcast a few days before I came to Utah. Daniel did not know. So I'm like, Daniel, like you said you're in Utah? Where are you? It's like, did you know I'm coming to Utah to ski And so then Daniel floated the idea of this live setting, which I couldn't argue with, and so all I had to do was talk some friends of mine into the idea, and eventually they got sold on it. And they're like, Rick, who's this guy that wants you to come down to Zion? And so all of us wanted an excuse to come down here anyway, and Daniel gave us the excuse, so here I am.
So Rick's thing is jazz for peace.
Correct.
My thing is solutions to problems.
Solutions for peace.
Solutions for peace. To which, tell me about the forward in your book.
The forward to my book is very important, very special, and I want people to check it out because when they do, they see a perspective of Mozart that they have never seen before. And that's because it's coming from a person who has dedicated his life to the arts, to music, to the arts and to music and all that stuff. So it's a different perspective.
So there's an example of two kids, Mozart being the prodigy.
Right.
There's another kid, also 6, growing up in the middle of nowhere.
Correct.
And we're comparing him, and he gets a piano.
Right.
Compared to Mozart, who also gets taught at the age of 6. And you forward in your book, you compare the two, how they grew up, and the difference between Mozart, who we all know is supposed to be talented, and this kid in the middle of nowhere in a farm, Appalachian Mountains.
I actually called it right up here. So yes, so let me take you guys through this. It is the year 1761. So the first thing I do is I take you back in time to the year 1761. A child in the Appalachian Mountains it could be anywhere, okay? It's a child somewhere in the world. So I say it could be in the Appalachian Mountains. It could be in a Nigerian province, Japanese prefecture.
Phoenix, Arizona, could New Jersey, or
bingo.
Your town. Yeah.
Could be anywhere. It's a child.
A kid in his bedroom.
Father wants to give the child the gift of music. Of course, what father wouldn't? I don't know, but this is a father like any other father wants the best for his kid. The father wants to give the child the gift of music. So he gives the child a musical instrument to get this kid the gift of music. Now, that's example 1. At the same time, on the same day, maybe at the same moment, a child in Austria named Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a 5-year-old child, 4-year-old, I don't know, very young child, is also given a musical instrument by his father. And this is where you have two stories taking place at the same moment in time and moving forward. And it's how these two stories move forward that's going to shock and surprise you as it shocked and surprised Daniel, because Daniel was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean this? You mean that? Because you're going to think one thing, but you're going to find out another. So the child in the middle of nowhere plays the instrument, and through his relationship with that instrument, he finds himself, which, folks, that's what happens when you play an instrument with you just play it, you just figure it out on your own. You're just...
A kid in his bedroom, or an adult coming home after work who just never played guitar, piano, and just wants to learn how to do it.
This can happen to anybody. What I'm telling you happens to this person. So now the child is in the child in the middle of New Jersey, wherever he is. He plays the instrument, and through his relationship with that instrument, he finds himself. He connects with his spirit. He feels emotions and creativity and humanity. He feels everything that, all the great things that music has brought to all people all the way through time. He is in contact with it because he's playing a musical instrument with nothing but wonderful intent, making a connection with the universe. He advances because music is a stimulator of the intellect. So a father is wise to do this for his son or daughter because it stimulates their intellect, just the playing and learning music. So now all this stuff, he's advancing in all kinds of ways through his own personal connection with the instrument without any tutelage whatsoever other than songs and music that he may hear in his native surroundings. Again, this could be a kid in Africa who starts playing the songs, the native songs from the other tribal members that they sing.
He doesn't have a teacher. He doesn't have a class. He's not taking a class. He's not doing something rigid. Like, I have to do this, I have to learn, I have to go to this teacher, I have to go to another teacher.
Well, here's the key. Right. Here, the key is he's not being mandated, you know? Okay, so it's mandated. Almost like the mandated.
He chose to do it.
The word mandated, now you hear it, you know, from vaccines, right? Well, it's fine to give us, why did you mandate us?
I'll quit interrupting, but the key to the story is he's not mandated versus Mozart is, right? Mozart is cracked on, like,
keep interjecting because you're saying perfect things. Yes, you are. What he said is perfect. So this kid, even though he may go to music class, there may be a music class, there might be a music teacher, but he's not mandated. Okay, so there you go. He's not being forced to take the musical vaccine.
Mozart's father already is a genius musician, and he's kind of got the idea. Like someone going to Olympics. I wish I could have gone to the Olympics as a parent, and I didn't, so I'm going to make my kid grow up to be an Olympic and make them practice every day.
Right, and you got to realize both parents probably think they're right and probably think they're doing the best for the son, and maybe they are. Let's see how the story plays out. So now the child in Austria, who was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, very different from the one that from the one that Daniel is explaining.
Middle of nowhere kid.
Very different. This child in Austria is immediately bombarded with instructions and demands to practice and learn and advance to a level of prodigious, prodigy, but prodigious talent, encouraged by his extraordinarily educated father, who was also a noted composer, instructor, and author of famous writings on violin playing. And on top of everything, he was in the service of the Archbishop of Salzburg. So you can see this is a path that this man has set out for his son. The other man has no path. He just wants his son to explore music.
And we're still speaking of the Mozart, but one thing, when you told me the story the second time, I thought Moses was a genius, original composer from the start.
Right.
And at this point in his life, he is a jukebox monkey playing what his father thinks he should perform in public, other people's pieces, technically perfect, but no original compositions yet.
Correct, because what this is all about is turning him almost into a trained monkey, a parrot, something again that's popular. He's turning his son to look at what my son can do. Not,
I compare it to doing, if you're in a band or a guitar player, singer-songwriter, only doing covers.
He's only doing covers
versus doing your original songs. But if you do your originals, that's not what Mozart's high court wanted to hear yet.
No, they want a cute they want to see this parrot, they want to see this cute little trained monkey that is phenomenal, that's fantastic, that's doing things that another little kid couldn't do because of the training from his father. So now what happens is it's the child in the middle of nowhere that advances, because the child in the middle of nowhere advances in extraordinary ways that generate.
Advances, what do you mean, like creatively or technically or both? Or
well, the child in the middle of nowhere has free reign to study whatever he wants. Mozart only has to study what his father tells him to do, so he's got to practice exactly what his father says. He's got stuff in front of him. He has to learn only that. Right. He cannot leave the script. You know what I mean? He cannot fray from the script.
Versus I can play country, Western or rock or pop or punk if I'm the kid in the middle of nowhere on my piano.
This little kid can play anything he wants on his guitar. He's free. So guess what he's generating? It's generating creativity, artistry, individuality, humanity, peace, community, and all of the rewards that come with finding yourself, developing and being at peace spiritually. He's getting all kinds of rewards from just having the freedom to do whatever he wants with his instrument, nobody hitting him over the wrist.
I think of music as self-expression, and no matter who you are, it's not how good you can. There's always somebody better, but like if you can push a key on the piano, you're expressing yourself like nobody else can push the key that way. And
He's playing his own notes. Yeah. They're his notes. The other guys can't play. Mozart's only playing somebody else's notes. Yeah. He's playing his notes. So now he's advancing by having all this out. So the child in the middle of nowhere, he may have nothing because he may be poor. He may be from a family that's barely making ends meet. But in another sense, he has everything by the advancement and growth from consistently being rewarded by the true and honest relationship to his musical instrument. Yep. So now we see. So this is where Daniel was shocked because, like, wait a minute, I was expecting Mozart to be this guy's the underdog here is advancing, and that's true. The underdog in this duel is flying by Mozart.
You can write an original song, and you might not think it's great, but people love it. And I mean, there's a lot of people that rap and because they can't even play stuff. So, but it's the originality.
Yes, he's just advancing because it's his,
and it's freedom. He's free. He's not. It reminds me of when some pop stars get really big and they can't break out of their second album's a flop because they do what they really want to do.
Right.
John Mayer complained about this.
Did he? Interesting.
Yeah, because when he had his albums where he's out kind of in the prairie in Wyoming, wearing the cowboy hat and he's got his dog. And he's doing basically country music, almost country jazz, jazz pop. But what are you doing, John? He was like, he was talking about that Hawaiian guy who's the Hawaiian musician that's very popular. Anywho, he was like, that guy can do whatever he wants, and everybody likes him because he's being himself.
Wow.
They're expecting from
now they
John
have expectation.
Mayer, the poppy.
They want something in this box from him because they have him in
really
a box.
Drove them nuts, and it was a good album.
Okay,
but still, people are expecting that of This is
it happens with these aging rock stars. They can't go out and play their new album because nobody wants to hear it. They just want to hear the hits from the past. Yeah, and now they have to place themselves in the 1972 where they are no longer in 1970. So they're not expressed. They don't come out and say, "Let me express myself to you when I was 19 years old."
Your latest new song. They want to hear your hits from.
Right. So all of these things can happen to you. So now we're back to Mozart. Now the child in Austria, Mozart, falls way behind the child in the middle of nowhere. Who would have thought? Who would think that Mozart's falling behind? But the child in Austria falls way behind the child in the middle of the nowhere due to the fact that all of the extraordinary rewards being granted to the child in eastern Pennsylvania, right? So this child are being denied to Mozart because he doesn't have that freedom, and instead replaced with the demands for prodigal advancement with extraordinary punishment awaiting at the hands of his father should he not comply. This denial of the advancement received by the child in the middle of nowhere. So in other words, the child in the middle of nowhere is also at the same time replaced. So in other words, he's denied the advancement of the child of the middle of nowhere, but that denial of that freedom is also being replaced by the rewards of being a child prodigy.
The fame and the money.
Yes. So now Mozart, as a little child, is getting really famous because his father is parading him in front of all of the hoity-toities.
Like the Michael Jackson, his dad, Michael Jackson.
Maybe so. When Michael Jackson came out at 5 years old and was singing his brains out, right, with those guys. So this denial of advancement received by the child in the middle of nowhere is also at the same time replaced with the greatest fame and monetary awards that could possibly be received for anyone of his age group.
But not for original Mozart compositions that are played today at the opera.
No.
Only for playing other people's stuff.
Right. It's entirely due to the extraordinary parroting and mimicking of other great musicians that came before him that young Mozart is now able to execute. Yeah. So it's a little kid executing this that's blowing everyone's mind.
That's his thing. He got famous because as a kid I'm doing this, but not really. He's not writing anything original.
No,
but that's what's made him famous.
That's where he's making all his money.
So he's making the money.
Right. So Mozart the prodigy now attains everything that society could ever offer. from fame, admiration, and fortune. He's getting rich, to the coveted approval of his narcissistic dad. This is what I wrote, but I wrote it. So, so now he has the approval of his dad.
He made the father happy.
Yeah, which he needed to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He needed, as that guy,
Well,
you
he's
needed.
still a child. He's probably getting whipped if he doesn't.
Well,
do it
not
too,
making
so-
that guy happy
Yeah.
was very.
Yeah.
Their consequences were severe. So he's got it all now. He's got it all, except for one problem. Except for one problem, which we're going to get to now. The child in the middle of nowhere who has found himself through his instrument and thereby advanced far beyond Mozart at this point in his life receives none of these superficial riches and rewards, okay? But now, an extraordinary thing happens. The child in the middle of nowhere goes on to become a good human being. He makes a difference in people's lives and in his community from his own wife and children. So in other words, he didn't get any of these riches, but he goes on to become a great embracing music makes him a good person.
Yeah, so,
Embracing.
So could it have not been music? Could it have been painting? And is it the creative aspect and the freedom to have freedom to create an experiment? It didn't have to be music that made him a better person as a whole?
Here's what he did. Here's the thing. If you embrace anything that fills up your soul with creativity, with artistry, with spirituality, with humanity.
What you want to do, because he chose that instrument.
His father gave him the instrument, but he embraced it.
He embraced
right.
it. Yeah.
But I mean, his father could have given him a paintbrush and an easel
Well,
too,
it happens
right?
with a lot of people. Like my dad, I didn't really like sports, but he still did the baseball with me and the basketball, but he let it go after I didn't follow it.
Right.
And at the same time, they gave me a piano, and I took up the piano, and then they saw I liked rock climbing, and then they got me a rope and a helmet.
Okay.
Helmet. And that's it. They let me go at it. But you pick what you want to do.
Right. Ultimately,
you embrace it.
Well, ultimately, I guess what these parents are doing that you're mentioning, including yours, they're trying to see if there's something that will catch your attention that's going to bring you these qualities.
Yeah.
Because again, I was saying part of my famous
But not
quote.
forcing it on you.
Not forcing it on you.
Helping you find your passion.
Yes.
Helping you find your passion.
Showing it to you and helping
Yeah.
you see. And they just let the kid. Wow, he took to that. Let's take to that. But that's going to bring him. That's going to stimulate his intellect. That's going to bring him humanity. It's going to bring him spirituality. It's going to bring him artistry or creativity.
Yeah.
And when you fill your souls up with these qualities, you have a better chance at avoiding the behavior that leads to destruction.
Video games all day long.
Right.
Okay.
Which
now,
is
Mozart,
the quote
what's
that
happening
became
with Mozart now?
All right, let's get back to this. So the child in the middle of nowhere, he becomes a good human being. He makes a difference in people's lives and community, wife and children, to men and women, others, due to spreading peace and joy that he has found through his instrument. He's now able to bring to others. Good things are happening to this guy, even though he got no fame, no fortune, no nothing. But now we go to Mozart. The child in Austria, Mozart, outgrows his prodigal abilities. Big problem. So now Mozart is no longer a trained
Which at
monkey.
first sounds like a great problem. It reminds me of the Beatles.
You would think
They
it'd be
play
great.
all the covers,
Yeah.
then they get famous by doing their originals.
Right.
But this wasn't the case with Mozart.
Not the case, yeah.
Yeah.
So because in those days, the music industry was all about who could please the archbishop, and if you couldn't please the archbishop, you didn't have a career.
Yeah.
You were out. You
we
were
don't
out.
want to hear your song. Play that instead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, or just, I'm sorry, that doesn't tickle my fancy. You're big on with it. Next, bring the next one in.
And
I don't know.
They dissed him too. His competitors tried to devaluate him and not even.
Well, you're getting it from all sides because here's the problem. The archbishop doesn't even know better himself. He doesn't know crap. The people who do know better can tell the archbishop and he'll listen to him, but they won't do that.
It's like consultants. Is that good music or bad music? I kind of like it. No, it's bad, Bishop. It's bad. Mozart stuff's bad. Oh,
Correct.
well, I kind of like it. Okay, I take your word for it. You're the expert.
Right.
It's bad stuff. Yeah.
Things like that would happen. So these people that recognize Mozart's genius, especially,
even then? Okay.
Even then, because when Mozart started to outgrow being a prodigy, people were like, "Oh my God, he's got his own thing." Yeah. So people like Salieri recognized that Mozart had his own thing, and he was really gonna. Oh my God, he's blowing. I'll never be able to play like this kid. You know.
Yep.
Now he's like 14 or 15. I'll never be able to play like him. Never in my whole life. I hate him. I hate this guy. I want to destroy this guy. Envy. Because, see, greed we're surrounded by greed right now. We've got this people getting.
Well, it's like academics, professors in college. It's a kill or be killed. There's only so much room for on the top level for college professors,
right?
And if there's 10 professors, only a few of them can really. So they got to beat down the other researchers,
right?
Say your research is nonsense. I know what I'm talking about. Kill or be killed.
It is, and then there are these very well-known colleges. One in California. I can't remember the name of it right this second, but it's one in California where the president, got these huge contracts to write this stuff, and he fabricated it all, and he got fake people. He got people to say it was, and it was just a bunch of nonsense. He got millions of dollars, and it's just, and a 16-year-old kid outed him and took him down. But it wasn't. He already had millions of dollars. He was trying to make millions more, because once they bite the $1 million apple, all they want is more millions. They don't want to actually do anything good. They just want to get more millions.
So it's the same thing back in Mozart's time. The same dog, kill or be killed.
Right. So the child in Austria outgrows his prodigal abilities to parrot and mimic the sounds of others, and also finds his real self through his music. Through this combination of extraordinary musical training. So now it's all coming together. By the way, he's got the extraordinary musical training from his father and from practicing and all that stuff, along with his own personal exploration and advance. He's combined that. You know what I mean? Because while he was a trained monkey, he was already good. He didn't have to. He could already do that at gig after gig. So he's spending his time now becoming him. So now he's putting it all together. He's outgrown anything that the superficial world could offer him, and is now giving birth to music that stimulates the intellect and has the ability to advance mankind for centuries to come. This is what he's doing, which is should be rewarded.
It reminds me of, like, once you study something so much, you need to make it your own, no matter what it is. Once you really learn enough, then quit trying to model everybody else and get perfecter that way. Go, you know what? I can use that. I don't need that. And make it your own, kind of own whatever it is. It could be painting, or it could be playing a sport where you get your own little dribble technique or whatever.
Exactly. But here's the problem. For doing all of this, he ends up in one of these no good deed gets rewarded situations where he gets thrown out. Instead of being rewarded for this advancement, he's tossed.
These are different times.
Yeah.
Or even that happens today. People dog you and criticize you.
You know what? It happens all over the place today.
Yeah.
We just don't print the story. We basically bury it. Bury it, but it happens everywhere. So he gets thrown out of position as servitude in Salzburg and is soundly rejected and disinherited by his father, because he's no use to his father. He's an embarrassment to his father. It's all about what the Archbishop thinks of him. That his father now, he likes you, I love you if he likes you. He doesn't like you, you're doing something wrong. You're a bad guy. So now he's actually, his father even disinherited him, according to historical writing. Utterly abandoned by society and heartbroken beyond belief. Because you can imagine the heartbreak when you get better and you get punished for that in the worst way.
Also, you're like, what should I do? Go back to being the monkey? That would kill me spiritually. Like, I can't do that. But if I stay here, I'm poor and disinherited. But I can't do that.
You have to realize it's hard to be a monkey when you know better. When you don't know better, when you are,
you can feel it in your heart, man.
Right.
Like, I can't do that.
He's not an honest monkey. Before he was an honest monkey because he didn't know any better. So he was actually being truthful, and he was being, but now you know better. How do you have so many things to hide if you try to go backwards like that?
Plus,
and
you might think, I got a great song I really want to share with people. It's a good song.
That's bigger heartbreak than anything. That he can't play what he comes. So now, utterly abandoned by society, heartbroken beyond belief, he composes over 600 musical works.
Well, so get it all out of your system.
21 stage and opera works, 15 masses, over 50 symphonies. until he dies at age 35. Age 35. I mean, how old are we? I mean, I've already like doubled this guy. Yeah. So, look at how lucky we are. So he dies at age 35, buried in a pine box without even the money for his own immediate family to be able to pay for his funeral. So the state had to pay for his funeral. He had nothing when he died, okay? Yet, unlike many others who have received a similar fate, so this is what people really don't know. They think only Mozart. No. There's so many others that have received this fate that Mozart, the only reason no for Mozart, because unlike so many others who received a similar fate for their sacrifices, so they sacrificed and got stomped on too. Mm-hmm. Okay, but unlike them, who got an even worse deal, okay, because no one even knows who they are, unlike them, his music lives on. Mm-hmm. So his music lives on. There's all these other people, too, that contributed and got stomped out of existence. His music lives on, and he receives performances today that he qualified for back in 1775. In other words, in 1775, he should have been given this gig that he just got last weekend, 300 years dead. You see what I mean? His music was probably played somewhere 2 days ago, but not during his lifetime. He couldn't play at that place. Yeah. That place he couldn't get a gig at.
I kind of feel bad
to save his life while he was alive.
Who were also had great stuff like you mentioned and never revitalized.
Well, this is why ultimately we have to raise our game as a species, and we have to recognize qualities, and we have to advance, because if we don't, we're probably going to get slammed by big problems that are out there that have been created that we're not facing, that we need to face as a species as a whole. And so there's reasons why we have to...
So go on with your story.
Go on with the story. So basically... he receives performances today that he qualified for back in 1775 in cities such as Vienna that have since turned into a graceland of guilt. Because really, when you go to Vienna, I would go there and it looked like they were guilty because they gave him nothing. Now they want to make up for it after he's dead by all these performances. So my summary is both of these existences are honorable. The kid with nothing who honestly...
They both contributed to people in the end, to the world in the end.
They both made contributions to others as well as their community, society, and are great examples for the world at large. These are two wonderful examples for mankind. These are great examples to be as a human being. Both of their lives and efforts are a much greater alternative choice than the path of war, discrimination, hatred, and annihilation.
But tell me about
all categories where you see billions of dollars being spent. These two paths are better.
Tell me about yesterday when we were talking about this, and I asked you, well, because we're talking about all the people like Badfinger, Peter Ham of Badfinger, who committed suicide because they stole his Harry. What's his name? The Beatles.
Oh, Harry Nilsson.
Yeah, theoretically stole.
Well, I don't think Harry Nilsson stole it, but what the reason I brought up Harry Nilsson was because Badfinger had a record. How many bands put out a record with even one hit? Their very first record. Aerosmith's first record was a bomb. A lot of people's first record had nothing. Had nothing. It was their second or third record. If they even got, they get a chance at four records.
Different days. Nowadays,
this is But this is their very first record, and it had a huge hit that Paul McCartney wrote for them, wisely so, because he wanted to make sure they had a hit because they were signed to Apple and he wanted to get his investment back. So he gave them a hit, and which he did just the way he wanted to do, and it was a hit. That's already damn good for a debut record, a hit. Yeah. But they had a couple other songs that they just did on their own that were hits. So Paul McCartney didn't know it, but they had hits on top of it. Yeah. On top of the hit he wrote for him, they had two hits that they recorded. Yes. Two of the songs that did all on their own were hits. So they were good on their own. They were supersized by McCartney. They got three hits from one record. But
Paul McCartney's the guy to write with you if you're like nothing, So he
he just was like, I don't know what these guys are doing over here, but just in case, I want to make sure they have one hit because it's my record. I know we got to recoup our investment here. Okay. So he gave them a song and he said, "You're going to play this song." The reason they sounded like the Beatles, everyone said they sound because McCartney said, you can't record, you can't take this song and just do what you want. You're going to do what I want you to do. And they sounded just like the Beatles on that one song.
Which,
so everyone thought they were
the Beatles didn't really invent the Beatles music.
That's true too.
Capitalizing on somebody else, and it circles back to you. So it's not like the Beatles own that. They owned it because they did it.
Well, all McCartney was doing was McCartney knew what could make a hit, and he just got them to do it. It just happened that it sounded like them because that was his coaching.
So then what happened?
Well, this guy Harry Nilsson is partying with the Beatles because for some reason or other the Beatles liked this songwriter Harry Nilsson. They liked the guy. They thought he had potential, and then they became friends, and then they hung out and they drank a lot and partied a lot apparently. And Harry Nilsson, his career got a little messed up by a little bit of over partying. He lost his voice in a situation with John Lennon where they were screaming
John Lennon,
in the middle of the night. Who knows how many drinks they had and whatever else they were doing.
Going with this is Badfinger's demise, the sad story on Badfinger.
Well, so listen. On top of the 3 hits, here's the opposite effect of what you've got. You've got a debut record with 3 hits on it, and then a 4th song that you didn't make a hit because you didn't quite execute it well enough. Somebody else hears the song.
Harry Nilsson.
And executes it so phenomenally well that it becomes Song of the Year. It wins every freaking award. If you ever look up that song, it wins every award in the world. Yeah. I've even performed it on a couple of podcasts, and a jazz version of it or whatever went into jazz from that song.
This was the song Paul wrote for Badfinger?
No, this wasn't.
It was Badfinger's song.
This was Badfinger's song.
Oh, so someone stole
Well, he didn't steal it. He recorded it. In other words, you could record it. He covered it. He covered it.
Cover anyone's song legally. But he did that before.
The manager's the one who stole everything.
But they released that before Badfinger could release their own version of it.
No. Badfinger released that version without using, though I can't forget this evening, or your face is still really, I guess that's just, you know that song, right? Now you know the song I'm talking about? It came out on their record, just not very good, just not that great. They covered it as good. They played their song as good as they could.
Okay.
He played their song 1,000 times better. If you listen to his version, he heard their song and he's like, wow, I could make this song incredibly well. And he told Paul McCartney, hey, do you guys mind if I record this song?
It sounds actually fair when you describe it.
No, that's not. They didn't get ripped off by Harry Nilsson. They got ripped off by their own manager. Their own manager stole everything.
Okay.
Left him even in debt.
And
stole everything.
Committed suicide.
Well, one of the guys committed suicide.
Okay, so what question?
With 4 hit songs, he commits suicide.
Where I asked this question is...
And then the other one committed suicide after, 2 of them.
Because a lot of people depressed, suicidal.
Right.
And because they're trying to do their thing. They found their passion. You said the reason that... you didn't say like it's why people kill themselves, but you say the reason people stop or they can't follow through like Mozart was because they couldn't see the vision, light at the tunnel. Did you have to, and you used the word allow it to be able to just allow things to happen. So tell me what you meant by allow and trust the universe and don't give up in an impossible situation.
Well, you're the solution man. So you saw that I had a solution. I am offering a solution to this, which I sincerely am. I stand behind this solution. This is a solution to that problem.
Yeah, what's the
this is the solution.
Yeah.
You jumped on it, and you were right to do so, and now we're going to talk about it. So here's the solution. You know what? There's 2 people. Every 2 people has problems in the world that they can't see the end of the tunnel. They can't see the end. Why? Because we're freaking mortal. We're just mortal humans. We can't see the end of the tunnel. But if one of those guys, maybe not this one, but maybe this one, I hope, this one who can't see the end of the tunnel, if he just... like, I can't see it, he's liable to do something dangerous. He's liable to do something dangerous.
And what I was speaking of is back to the Badfinger thing. I mean, their music's played all the time now.
All the time. That was it was the biggest waste of a suicide I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, maybe it'll took even 10 years, or even if it took 20 to
talk about a waste of a suicide.
But the thing is, like, how? And this is my lane. Maybe I'm the rock climber. Like, keep at it, resilience. How do you use the word allow it? That's a solution.
Here is what that guy could have done. Here's what that guy could have done. Honestly. He could have said, okay, this is impossible. I don't see the end of the tunnel, okay? But guess what? I am not the universe. I'm just a fucking person, and I'm going to open up the channel of creativity, of humanity, of art, of intelligence. I'm going to open the channel, okay, and allow the answer to come to me. I am going to live my best life every second of every day. I'm going to wake up and embrace things like artistry, creativity, intelligence, our greatest qualities. And I'm going to forget about me coming to the solution. I'm going to let the solution come to me. I'm going to allow it. Just like when you play music, if you improvise, you allow the music to come through you.
You don't know what you're going to play with the jazz until you start playing. So I'm thinking like if I'm Peter Ham Badfinger, I'm like making it up in my head. Now I'm poor. Now I have no record deal. Right. Now I have no one. I'm just gonna the music business is over, and it's easy to based on the facts.
Right. Based on that, everything's finished. You're finished.
Money. I'm in debt. Based on the facts,
give up and kill yourself.
Instead of
looking at the big picture. The big picture is, I'm a person on this earth with freaking 3 goddamn hit songs on a debut record.
I know, right?
This other guy's song of the, he's not looking at the big picture.
It's what happens to me.
Out of his mind.
I'm like, you forget, like I'm an engineer, a rocket scientist, and
right.
And people go, dude, you're an engineer. I'm like,
right.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, like you just forget.
You gaslight yourself.
You gaslight yourself. Sometimes you forget your greatness. And you kind of do it to yourself. It's cliche, but it's so hard to see you can't see the light.
Podcasters told me who I was. I forgot. I had forgot because I walk around in a world where nobody knows who I am because, our media wants to talk about whatever they want to do. They have their own agenda, whatever. So I walk around as if I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? And people look at me as through their glasses, and I start to believe what they're thinking. And then a podcaster who wants me on his show starts saying, "So now you flew into Pakistan in the middle of the night? You arrived at 3:30 in the morning?" "Yeah, we had to fly in the middle of the night." "Yeah, I did do that." "And then you went there to promote an organization that's 90%
was reminding me
of, and all of you guys have done it, reminding me of tons of stuff that I've done. So that guy, he picked Pakistan. Another guy picks Africa. Another guy picks India. Another guy picks something I did in his town or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a girl that snowboards at the ski resort where I'm skiing with his sweater on. I gaslight him. She told 4 times. She told people she was from Huntsville, Alabama, and because people ask her where she's from. In the tram, we're waiting for the tram to freaking open, and I'm like, Huntsville, Alabama, Huntsville. One at 2:00 in the morning. I'm like, how am I tied to Huntsville, Alabama? I Googled myself. I went on Google. What?
You want to play a song?
I do want to play a song.
See what comes of your allowing.
Yes. Well, what I usually do is I play a song that somebody knows, and then so you can see how I do what I do, so you can see where it goes, because I don't know where it's going to go.
I want you to play what we're just speaking of, what you allow to come to you without.
You want me to just make something up, not even a song, just make up something completely, or start out with a song and go into what allows me.
Whatever you feel like doing.
Whatever I feel like doing. All right, let me see. I don't know. Do you want me to play at the beginning of that and then go into something? This is really off the top of, this is the song that we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. I don't know if I can even remember it, but no, I can't forget this evening or your face as you were leaving. But I guess that's just the way the story goes. You always smile, but in your eyes your sorrow shows. Yes, it shows. No, I can't forget tomorrow, and I think of all my sorrows. And I had you there, but then I let you go. And now it's only fair that I should let you know what you should know. Can't live if living is without you. Can't live, can't give anymore. Can't live if living is without you. I can't give anymore.
Very nice, man. Very nice.
I don't know what it was, and it'll never happen again, is all I can tell you. I opened up the channel. I just tried to do what I described.
It was beautiful.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, sir. That's all I'm,
Take a little break.
Yes, we could take a little break for a commercial. A word from our sponsors.
Well, I think it came out good. I just want to check it.
Yes, check it and make sure. Absolutely.
I was making sure. Are we still recording? We got
That's
the whole
craziest
story?
version.